Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the financial secrets of the business world, and today we're diving into Netcapital Inc's latest proxy statement, a bit of a deep dive into their upcoming shareholder meeting and what it means for their future. It's packed with more information than a packed lunchbox, a real treasure trove for anyone interested in how this company plans to move forward. So what's the big event? Well, Netcapital is gearing up for its annual meeting of shareholders on September 11, 2025. And get this, it's going to be a virtual meeting, a listen-only conference call style. They've got a packed agenda covering everything from electing new board members to ratifying their auditors and giving the thumbs up to executive compensation, and even a potential move from Utah to Nevada. Basically, they're asking shareholders to weigh in on a bunch of important decisions that will shape the company's path. They've laid out how shareholders can vote either online, by email, by mail, or even by fax, which is pretty convenient, and they've even included a special way for beneficial owners if you have your shares held through a broker to get your vote in. Let's talk directors. They're proposing to elect 5 people to the board: Martin Kay, Cecilia Lenk, Avi Lee, Stephen Geary, and Arnold Scott. The report gives us a little bio for each, painting a picture of their experience and why they're suitable to lead the company. Martin Kay, for example, has a background in strategy and digital media. Cecilia Lenk brings tech and healthcare expertise. Avi Ellis is highlighted for his legal governance knowledge. Stephen Geary has experience in business development and marketing. Arnold Scott is noted for his director roles in various organizations. Now, for the part many of you are probably waiting for: executive compensation. The summary compensation table shows us what the top brass earned in fiscal years 2025 and 2024. Martin Kay, our CEO, and Corrine Chrysler, our CFO, both saw their salaries increase and received bonuses for $1,007, while Corrine Chrysler's was $2,757, while Corrine Chrysler's was $2,757, while Corrine Chrysler's was $2,757. Jason Frischman, their founder, also put in a good amount of work. These bonuses were specifically tied to completing fiscal year-end. Corrine Chrysler, our CFO, both saw their salaries increase and received bonuses, for example, $5,777. Corrine Chrysler's was $2,757, while Corrine Chrysler's was $2,757. Jason Frischman, their founder, also put in a good amount of work. These bonuses were specifically tied to completing fiscal year-end processes and equity financing and advancing a broker-dealer license application, which the board saw as critical for the company's progress. Looking at equity awards for 2025, Martin Kay had a bunch of stock options outstanding. For instance, he had 8334 exercisable options with an exercise price of $110 set to expire in 2033. His options vest monthly over 48 months, which is pretty standard. Interestingly, the report dives into compensation actually paid versus summary compensation table totals, which is a SEC requirement. For non-principal executive officers like the CFO and founder, average compensation actually paid in 2000s for equity awards or other factors. It shows they're trying to be transparent about how compensation is calculated and how it differs from what's maybe paid out directly. A big item on the agenda is amending the 2023 equity incentive plan. They want to increase the share reserve to 3,500,000 shares and add an evergreen provision. This means every year starting in May 2026, the number of shares available for grants will increase automatically by 10% of outstanding shares, or a lesser amount determined by the board. This is a move to keep their compensation competitive and give them the flexibility to attract and retain talent. Then there's Proposition 5, a vote to reincorporate the company from Utah to Nevada. They say it's for flexibility and to take advantage of Nevada's modern corporate laws, which many major companies also use. However, the report does mention that Nevada law has some differences that could have anti-takeover implications, like making it tougher to remove directors. This is something shareholders should definitely consider. The document then lays out pretty clearly how shareholder rights might change. For instance, in Utah, shareholders can generally remove directors without cause, but in Nevada, it requires a 2/3 vote. On the flip side, Nevada law offers stronger shareholder protections regarding director indemnification. It's important to see how these legal changes could impact shareholder power and the company's governance structure. Proposal 6 covers the adjournment of the meeting if needed. This is basically a backup plan to ensure they can gather enough votes if any proposal doesn't get the green light. It's a standard measure in proxy statements to allow for flexibility. When we look at related party transactions, we see a few interesting points. Jason Frischman, who owns a significant stake in Netcapital Systems LLC, ensures the company has access to key software. The company paid Systems LLC, One Netcapital Systems LLC, $17,500 in 2024 for website software. Cecilia Lenk also serves on the boards of other companies like Kingscrowd Inc. and Deustrone LLC, where Netcapital also has investments. There are also details about compensation paid to consultants and family members of executives, which are disclosed openly. The audit committee report confirms they've reviewed the financial statements with management and the independent auditors, Fracci and Associates. To PLLC, they've also discussed auditor independence and are recommending the financials be included in the annual report. This shows a commitment to transparency and financial oversight. They have a clear policy on how their auditors are hired and what services they can provide. Everything is pre-approved by the board, ensuring auditor independence. Fees for fiscal 2025 total $1246.76, mainly for audit services. Looking ahead to next year, shareholders who want to propose anything for the 2026 meeting need to get their proposals in by April 2026 following specific SEC rules. This is a heads up for anyone thinking about making their voice heard. The report also talks about householding, meaning if you share an address with another shareholder, you might only receive one copy of the proxy materials to save on cost. You can always opt out and request separate copies if you prefer. Now let's get to my take on this Netcapital filing. On the positive side, the company is clearly focused on growth and adapting its incentive plans to attract talent with that equity plan amendment proposal. The decision to move to Nevada seems driven by a desire for a more flexible legal environment which could be good for business operations. However, there are some potential weaknesses to consider. The move to Nevada has upsides, but also introduces different shareholder rights, like the higher vote needed to remove directors, which could lessen shareholder control. The related party transactions, while disclosed, are worth keeping an eye on. The company needs to ensure these are always fair and beneficial. From a financial perspective, while the report doesn't give us a full income statement here, the executive compensation and equity grant details show a company actively using stock to incentivize its team, which is common but also means dilution risk for shareholder rights, like the higher vote needed to remove directors could lessen shareholder control. The related party transactions, while disclosed, are worth keeping an eye on. The company needs to ensure these are always fair and beneficial. From a financial perspective, while the report doesn't give us a full income statement here, the executive compensation and equity grant details show a company actively using stock to incentivize its team, which is common but also means dilution risk for shareholders. Overall, Netcapital seems to be navigating a period of strategic change with a clear focus on future enablement. The reincorporation and the plan amendment signal a proactive approach. The key for them will be balancing these strategic moves with shareholder interests and maintaining robust corporate governance. Alright, that's our breakdown of Netcapital's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.